Next up, we're going to look at the squat and the squat on the balance pad itself. Now we know when we're doing vertical jump, broad jump, when we go to jump, we're going to be pushing off that full ball of our foot. So we want to make sure that we build that foundation and that strength through the ball of our foot and the whole foot complex itself, making sure that we can keep that strength so we can really utilize that explosive power and that drive through that whole complex of that ankle, moving up into that calf and Achilles region. So I like to work a lot of my athletes on the squat itself, on the pads, because I want to be able to push through the balls of my toe. And this teaches them full extension and full push off through that toe region. So I get onto the balance pads, and I'm making sure at all times that the wood of the disc in the pad does not touch the ground. So I don't have that athlete pushing and touching the ground. They want to maximize the balance through the actual ball underneath the pad. So once I get onto the pad and I can understand the movement and the stability and the spatial awareness on the pad itself, now I'm going to start squats. And I don't necessarily say you have to do full range squats on the pad. I like to do quarter squats because I want to go to the same range and explosive ability and explosive drive that you would when you actually run and jump. So I'm going to get to a quarter squat. And that's the ability where I want to get that tissue to load up and push off of in my feet. So I'm going to get my foot on the pad. And I like to start off slow because it is very hard to balance at first in the squat. So I get my hands in the right position, chest is up nice and tall, and I'm really going to feel my feet and open them up on the pad because I don't want my feet to be glued up, bound and tight like in a shoe. I really want to open it up and really feel the pad itself. I'll go into that quarter squat, trying to make sure that my knees are in line with my hips and my toes, and that my knees don't buckle in. It's a great exercise because you really do feel in your glutes as well. So I go down, I get to that quarter squat, and I just control the full range of motion by going here. But what I mean by full range is coming all the way up, feel like I'm pushing through the pad. So I like to really extend, just like at the beginning when we first go through our first exercise as getting up onto our toes. I get my athletes to get as high as they can, really pushing and getting full extension through my feet. Now I get down into that quarter squat, and then I push back up through my full foot. You can see my legs lock out as if I'm getting through a full maximized jump. Once I start and I can get that ability to go up and down under control, then I tell them to go as fast as they can, but under control. So you don't want to be moving all over the place and having your core and your hips and your shoulders moving side to side. You want to be up and down straight, going as fast as you possibly can, but with great control of your entire body. This is really going to help your abilities in sports to be able to absorb force comfortably, push off comfortably, but when you're in the air and you're about to push off, you're going to be able to feel your body and have that feedback to understand where you need to be in space. So I start to move up and down quick, and this is a lot harder than it looks. I've just been doing it a lot, and I've done this for years to help strengthen my abilities to be a very explosive athlete and as a professional athlete playing football in the CFL. So I do multiple reps at that. And we like to do about 15 to 20 because you really start to feel that foot light up. And you feel that musculature and that arch light up. Once I get this exercise down, that bilateral double leg squat, then we start to hit the single leg squat, which is a very, very difficult exercise for most of our athletes because there's a lot of imbalances and deficiencies in both legs. And sometimes, depending if they're like a soccer athlete or a football athlete, or it doesn't matter, is that one leg is stronger than the other. So if they're a soccer athlete and they push off this leg and they go to kick off this leg, one leg's going to be a little bit stronger. Just like in basketball, if I go to run and I do a single leg jump, then this leg's will be a little bit stronger, and this leg's my takeoff leg, so it's a little bit weaker. It doesn't get the same push off the ground. So you're going to see a little bit of rotation in the core, because the core is just not strong enough in that sling system because that foot just hasn't been utilized enough to that full sling and that full shoulder. It doesn't have the ability to keep strong in order for you to be balanced. So I always, once my athletes have gotten that bilateral squat and they have that down pat, we start to work on that single leg strength. And this is an excellent, excellent rehab exercise. It's a prehab exercise, and we start this at the beginning and at the end of our workouts. So I got to make sure that that foot, ankle, knee, hip, and shoulder are always straight. We don't want any kinks in the system, and we don't want to rotate our foot too much and then work different muscle groups. We want to work that foot complex from start to finish. So once I get onto that leg, this leg is now off the ground, and I'm just going to have my chest up nice and tall, and I'm going to slowly descend about 90 degrees or to a quarter squat without this back foot touching, trying to keep this foot as straight as possible. Once I get down there, I'm going to come up, and I like to bring this leg up into a full knee drive, like a sprinter. I will slightly hip hinge, and then I drop my bum down, and I come back up in a full knee drive through full extension of my toe. Now, if they can't get up into this knee drive position, they can keep this foot back, and they can just squat all the way down into that 90-degree squat, right back up. Now, I can feel tremendous amount of force and musculature working in my glute and quadricep. I love this exercise because it really picks apart the weaknesses in your legs. So this is something that you should be doing, I could say every single day, because it's a body weight exercise. And if you do just about I don't know, 10 to 20 reps a day on each foot or each leg, you're not going to tax it out so much that you're going to be tired tomorrow, but you're every day going to help strengthen that structure of that foot and the integrity of that full leg and lower leg complex. So when I get on here, once I start and understand the full squat, that's when you start to get a little bit faster, but that's when you can start really utilizing that takeoff and sprint technique through that knee drive. Because when I'm running, my knee drives up. When I go to take that single leg jump, my knee will help propel me and drive me up. So that's why we bring that full knee drive. And with all my college athletes, this is a very specific exercise to really help that structure. So I'm going to go through it one more time. Foot, ankle, knee, hip, and shoulders are square. I'm going to start with that knee up nice and high. As you can see, I'm as high as I can on this left back foot. I'm going to hip hinge, knee goes back. I'm going to start to drop down into that squat. Once I feel comfortable, boom, I drive back up. Once I get better, that's when I start to get a little bit more explosive, a little bit faster. If you really want to take your game to the next level, want to unlock that athletic potential, want to run faster, jump higher, make quicker bursts and cuts, I guarantee if you strengthen that foot, everything starts in that chain of that foot. If you want to prevent injuries, and if you want to make sure you're at the highest game possible, use the Pep Fast balance pads, because it will change the way that you train, change the way that you feel. You'll feel more comfortable, more confident in your abilities as an athlete. Give it a shot.